Hello and welcome to the Bears and Lions podcast. This is the podcast where we challenge our present by viewing our past. I'm a firm believer that our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past, because when you actually look at it, you're going to see that there are so many things in your life that have been a personal check engine light, right? And it's shown you that, you know what, maybe we need to check in on this and we need to get some things taken care of. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. That's what my month of March looked like. It was like an entire month of, hey, there's a check engine light with yourself. We need to get some things squared away. And I really hope that you will enjoy this conversation. I share 5 questions to ask yourself to do a personal check-in as well. And I think that it'll be very encouraging. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. So Friday, my check engine light came on in my car. And my initial reaction is probably very common. I was like, oh my gosh, I went to the worst case scenario. My car is going to break down. It's going to explode. It's going to die. And I really started stressing. And I was excited about this weekend. It was Good Friday. It's Easter weekend with Easter Sunday, which is a big part of my faith and a very important time where we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. And so my mind was not going to the resurrection. My mind was going to my car is going to die and I need my car to be resurrected. So this check engine light comes on and I really was stressed, but I decided I'm going to go to a auto store and they hook up the little code reader. It spits out the code with the exact issue. Turns out it's not going to, die. And I was even able to get it to a shop and replace the part that it was needed. And the check engine light is now no more as of right now. Of course, there's always other issues that can come up. But I love that my car has a check engine light, right? It pops up before the car has a breakdown. And I really appreciate that as I really started thinking about it. And then I started thinking about us as humans. And have you ever noticed that our bodies tend to have an internal check engine light as well? We're constantly alerting ourselves of foods we shouldn't eat, right? Places we shouldn't go. And we're even keenly aware of things we should or shouldn't do. If you've ever had that thought of, I don't know if this is right. There's so many things about us as humans that are so unique. If you've ever been in a scary situation and the hair on the back of your neck stands up, it's an internal something is about to happen and you go into fight or flight and your body decides that you need to be ready, right? It's very unique. If you've ever eaten something that's very bad, you just immediately spit it out. All right. Or you immediately throw up if it's something that makes you sick. Like your body has a check engine light. It's like, hold on, stop. We're not going to do this today. You're going to break down if you ingest this. You're going to break down if you go down this path. There are things in our lives that we have probably been so distracted by social media and so distracted by people around us that we haven't checked in with ourselves in a while. And as I was talking with the mechanic about my car, he was just going through the typical maintenance, and he was like, okay, so your car is coming up on the certain time when the original parts are all going to start breaking down. They're wearing out. So we're going to need to start replacing, repairing, or at least checking these specific things. And I think we as people are very much in the same way that over time, things change, dreams change, people change, personalities and friendships end, relationships end. So people move and they go into a different culture, a different area, a different part of the world, a different part of the country. And I thought it was interesting that, we probably need to have some check-ins with ourselves every once in a while. It's the reason why you go to checkups with the doctor. There's a reason why you go to checkups, for a dentist. It's preventative more than anything, is they can see if that internal check engine light is coming on, right? If you're not feeling well, it gets to a point where maybe you need to go to the doctor, and your check engine light is saying, yep, we're not getting better. You need to take this in. So I came up with 5 questions to ask yourself to be able to do a self check-in for your own check engine light. And I really kind of went through just some things in my life that I've needed to check in with myself. And I hope that it'll encourage you. So as I go through these, I encourage you to come through it with me. And you can always come back to this podcast and listen to it as well if you ever need to check in, maybe a few weeks down the road. I am starting to check in with myself once a month. Once a month, where I set aside, it doesn't have to be long. And you may not even set aside time for it. You may just check in with yourself on the way to work every day, or check in with yourself once a week and ask 1 or 2 questions a week. And as you go through your month, you've checked in with yourself on all these questions. But I think all of these are very important. So here we go. The first question, I've boiled these down into the who, what, when, why, and where. And for the sake of it, we'll start with the what. So the first question is, what is my most consistent emotion over the past few weeks? And the reason why I think that is a very important question is because if you were to meet a brand new person in your life, somebody moves to your neighborhood, or they start coming to your school, or they start working with you at your job, and you begin to spend a lot of time with this person, maybe it's a possible relationship, right? You meet a beautiful girl, or you meet a really nice guy, and it's this possibility. But if you spend a lot of time with each other over the last few weeks of your life, if they have spent that much time, what would they say about you? Are your emotions and your most consistent emotions that have been taking place over the last few weeks consistent with the person that you know you want to be and the person that you know you can be? March was a very difficult month. I have not hidden anything about that. I have not posted much. I've missed a few podcasts as well. March has been a very difficult month with just my mental. Did not go to the gym at all this month. And then also my schedule. I did not consistently build a healthy schedule or eat healthy foods. I was kind of in the fast mode of I need to, work on my job instead of myself. And it's the toughest month of the training for my job. So I overshot what I needed to do in fear that I would struggle and stress and break down at my job. I put a lot of pressure on that, focused purely on that to make sure that I did. And now I look back and I think I could have gone to the gym. I absolutely know I could have gone to the gym. I know I could have gotten to bed a little bit earlier on some nights. I know I could have eaten healthier on some of the weeks. But at the end of the day, I was focused on my job because I've moved to Baltimore for this job. I don't have a plan B. It's either we succeed in this job or I literally don't know what the next step would be. So I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But over the last few weeks, my emotions have not been the person that I want to be. I have not been the charismatic Kyle that I know I can be. So that's why I think that it's important to ask yourself, what is my most consistent emotion over the last few weeks? Because it allows you to discern, am I somebody who's just sad? Am I somebody who's just bubbly? Why am I bubbly? Am I hiding something, or am I just really in a great mood? Sometimes you'll find out that I'm doing way better than I thought I was doing. This is actually really encouraging. So that's a reason to check in with yourself. It doesn't always have to be bad. In some cases, in a lot of cases, I hope it is good when you ask yourself these questions. Real quick, I just want to say thank you for listening to the podcast. A lot of you know I post the audio version on Spotify and iTunes. Some of you may not know that I post the video version of this podcast on YouTube. And in 2024, I'm really focused on building the community engagement as well as the brand of the Bears and Lions podcast. So if you would do me a favor and just really quick, go hit like and subscribe on that YouTube. Share this podcast with a friend. It'll just take you a few moments to share it with your social media, and it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for listening. Now let's get back to the conversation. Number 2 is when. When was the last time that you had a replenishing conversation? And I think a lot of you probably know what I'm talking about. It's that conversation, whether it's the one that goes until 2 a.m., even though you never thought it would go, past 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're on the phone, or maybe you're in the middle of the day and you're checking in with a friend, or you get lunch with a friend and then you end up staying a little bit later and just have a replenishing conversation. Maybe it was with your mom or with your dad or with a family member. But when was the last time you had that conversation? We are such relational beings. We need to have those with the people we're comfortable with. Even if you're an introvert, there's still a need to be able to have that very in-depth exchange with somebody to say, hey, this is what's going on. Maybe it's time that you have this conversation with your spouse, or maybe it's time to check in and have a deep conversation with a loved one, or a significant other, and just sit down and say, hey, it's been a while since we've just talked about what we want to do in life and where we're going and the directions and how things are going. And it's not let's freak out and have a really rough conversation. Let's just have a good conversation. And how are you doing? What's making you excited in life? Things like that are so important. And I've had some really cool conversations that have just really encouraged me over the time of March. Over the month of March, I've been stressful, I've been full of anxiety, but I've had a couple spotty conversations that just helped me take a deep breath and decide to keep going. It's going to be okay. That conversation let me know it was going to be okay, and I'm still pushing through. So I really encourage you to ask yourself, when was the last time that you had a replenishing conversation? Number 3 is, where do I spend most of my time? And this is a massive question I think is very important, especially after the pandemic. Am I spending most of my time at home? Am I spending most of my time at work? Am I spending most of my time at the gym? Maybe you're a gym person. But why are you spending your time there? You see, who we are is where we spend our time. If you want to be known as an adventurer, as somebody who is spontaneous, if you never leave your apartment, or you never leave your house, or never leave your city, are you really that adventurous? And would people believe you if you said that and you never show it? So where you spend a lot of your time, I think, is very important. And this was one that hit me really hard in March. I spent a lot of my time in my apartment, studying for things in my job, working. Sometimes I work from home. I spent a lot of time in my apartment, cooking, cleaning, doing stuff, but I didn't go out. I didn't find ways to get out, especially the ways I used to, as I used to go on walks, and I used to get out every weekend, and every single day I would find a way to get out of my house or my living arrangement. And I think it's very, very important to do so. And so that's something that I'm going to really stress over the next month, so that when I do this check-in in April, I am finding a walking trail. I'm finding a park that I can walk in. I'm going out to the harbor, on weekends, or, things like that. And it's getting nicer weather, so I don't have an excuse, and I need to make sure that I get out. So it matches who I want to be. I want to be somebody who gets out, and I want to be somebody who is spontaneous and adventurous, and won't just find myself really not doing the things and procrastinating on some of the things I know I should do while just spending time in my apartment. Number 4 is the who. Who do I spend my time with? Who do you spend your time with? I've heard it said that we are the culmination of the 5 closest people around us, and we often will become the 5 closest people that we spend time with. Now we become like them, not exactly like them, but I think that it's very important to double check our company, right? Is the company that we keep, is that company helping us reach our potential, or is that company maybe just helping us procrastinate even more? Instead of saying, hey, how are things going in the gym? Are they saying, hey, want to go out for that extra drink, or do you want to go out to eat? Are they asking about your budget if you're trying to keep a budget? Or are they just saying, yeah, a group of us are going here and then we're going there? And that every time you go with them, you spend a little bit extra money, and it would be wiser for you to just say, no, I can't afford it this time, or no, I can't go out this time. I'm going to head back home. So this is the flip-flop of the last one, but sometimes it's important to say, hey, I can't be going out all the time. I can't spend all my time at the gym, because the people at the gym, they just want to go out and drink, or they just want to go to the gym and work out and talk about things that aren't necessarily edifying or encouraging. Sometimes that is a very difficult thing, but it's an important thing to ask yourself is, who am I spending my time with? Who am I starting to pick up those mannerisms and acting like? And last but not least is the why. And this is probably the most important one to ask yourself. And I think it's important, whether you're doing a self-check-in or not, I think this is important to ask yourself on the weekly. But why do I do what I do every day? Why do you do what you do every day? Right? Like, have you found the reason why you get up? Are you driven? Are you pursuing something? Are you pursuing something better? Or are you just existing? I love Simon Sinek. He has a really cool Find Your Why. I think it's his book, Find Your Why. I have not read it, but I've heard him talk about it all the time. He's always talking about finding your why. And I think that is one of the most motivating factors, is if you know why you do what you do, why you put up with tough times at work, or things that go on around your life, but you just keep getting up and doing it. Why are you doing it? Is it to exist? Some people will just be like, I have to go to work so I can pay rent. Okay, that's a good why. Okay, that's a good why. You are doing it for a reason. Excellent. So now you know your why, and you can go forward. And finding your why, I think, is in our society today on social media, everybody wants you to find your why, and you need to know your why. I don't think that's as important to find your purpose, and I think that will come along the way. But I think your immediate why is needed. So if it is, I have to go to work so I can pay rent, that's a good why. I love the old, there's a joke about psychiatrists, and it's, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? One, but the light bulb has to really want to change. I think a lot of people will never really want to change because they don't know what immediate why they need to do, or if they think of their purpose, their big why, they'll think it'll get in the way of the little why. So they'll say, I know I want to do this. This is why I wake up, but I can't do that yet because I have to work this job so that I can pay rent. And that's why I think it's really encouraging and challenging at the same time to ask these type of questions of why, because you'll find that, you know what, there is so many areas in your life that all the small whys will actually lead you to the big whys, and it will lead you to those bigger things. Really, I hope that it encourages you to check in with yourself and say, you know what, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. See, I look back on March on why I didn't go to the gym, why I didn't work out, why I didn't eat as healthy, why I didn't focus on my sleep as much. It's because I don't have a plan B with this job. It is this job or nothing. And I will put everything aside if I need to in order to succeed in this job. And I know that that's one of my big whys. It's that important. And until I've reached that, until I've gotten out of training and been able to get my feet under me, I know I want to get in shape. I know I want to eat healthy, and I know I want to sleep. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is the why. So I have to go to work and I have to succeed so I can pay rent. And maybe you're in a place like that as well. And I just want to encourage you, that's okay. If you need to put your head down and grind for a little bit, do it. It's not going to be forever. It's just going to be for now. That is something that I'm really trying to remind myself that, yeah, March was a really rough month for me. I feel not good about myself. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel like I've slept well. I don't feel like I've eaten well. I know I haven't worked out, so I feel bloated more. And it's not a great feeling, but that's okay. Because my why will be worth it, and it's not forever. It's just for now. That's going to do it for this conversation. I know we went a little bit over our time, but that's okay. I cannot believe we are at episode 69. I've got some things in store as well for the podcast. I really want to kind of focus on some big changes. We may be missing an episode in April because I will be traveling, and I don't know if I'll be able to pre-record an episode. If I can't, I'll let you know as soon as I can. And of course, there's episodes that you can always go back and listen to. There's a lot of really good ones that I've listened to and been encouraged by. So as always, I hope that you will be encouraged by these and challenged by these to pursue your best possible self. That is our whole process, is by viewing our past correctly and being able to challenge our present and say, you know what? No, I'm more prepared. I can do this. I know I can. And stepping into that future. And so that's honestly all I can hope for. I really appreciate all of you who have listened, all of you who are, able to keep up with me. I appreciate some of the likes and the comments and the story likes on Instagram. If you want to find me on my socials, you can always add me on Instagram. It's Kyle_Vaught. That's KYLE_V as in Victor ATT. On Instagram and Threads, and then on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, but I'm still going to call it X. It's just my name, @KyleVaught. I'd love to connect with you. If there's topics or if you're going through something and you just want to message me about it, please feel free to message me. I'd love to connect. I'd love to have conversations with you. Maybe we get a really deep conversation going and we have you on the show at some point to share your story. For everybody else, I hope you have a wonderful week. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.